This is all my art from 2019 up to now. There's improvement, certainly, but also a fair amount of inconsistency between art styles. See, discovering one style is trial and error. While some people can just naturally evolve into it, others, like me, have to just toss stuff at a wall and see what sticks. So I thought, wouldn't it be fun, maybe an homage of sorts to just go back? So this is my art style challenge, but instead of replicating other people's style, we're revisiting my own. These will be in chronological order, so you can see how everything progresses, and for comparison's sake, this is my style today, which I'll put at the end. Let's get this started. This is, I guess, early 2019. So, fun fact, up until this point, I was almost exclusively a feral artist. Like, I drew dogs, and that's it. Now, I did have a brief stint with a webcomic at some point, so I wasn't entirely unfamiliar with human anatomy, but it was the dog pit. And what ultimately dragged me out and let me see the light of day again was K-pop. So in high school, I got really into the K-pop fan art scene, which I'm not into it anymore, but this phase did wonders for my art because, let me tell you, there exists nothing in this world more voracious than a K-pop obsessed teenage girl. An absolutely terrifying force of nature. Human anatomy? Nothing. You learn that shit fast for your bias. So here's this simple lineless style. It's charming. I like it. So anyway, anime happened, as it does to the best of us. This style was inspired by someone I really admired on DeviantArt at the time who had a similar cutesy style. I tried finding them, but my old account is deactivated and that site is currently not well. So whoever you were very cool, and yoink, your art style is mine now. It's a very soft chibi style. I think it compensated well for my lack of anatomy knowledge. Who needs to draw hands? It's all sweater paws and chibi blobs. I was much better about coloring the lines back then too. Now it's all just black. It's cute. Look at how sweet and innocent she is. Uh-oh, here's the anime to Gunner pipeline in action. This style was also made more for chibis. It was tailored specifically for keychains of this gacha game I liked. It's dead now, but that's pretty much all I used it for. That's a lie. That's all I used it for that I'm willing to acknowledge. This image is the censored version. I didn't like how it looked outside of the chibis at the time, but I like it a lot now. It's got very bold lines and very strong eyeliner in your face. Emphasis on the chest region, not that you'll see it here. I like how this one turned out. The eyes make her look kinda devilish. I developed this style specifically for a comic I was planning that never made it past the character design phase, mind you, but that was the original purpose. So my goal for this style was, of course, simplicity, if you're drawing a comic. Simplicity in design, but also something that's easy to draw from different angles. And the facial features, or lack thereof, I think left me a lot of room for expression. Don't ask where their eyebrows are, they have left the stratosphere. I also started using this light purple color for shading because I thought it looked nice. And this orange outline from the shadows, oh, you know what it was? It was some tutorial about subsurface scattering that I didn't quite absorb, but monkey see, monkey do. I think that describes most of my art journey, actually. I really like the style, the softness, and it's very easy to draw. So I debated this one because it almost feels like an offshoot of the previous one, but it kind of holds its own. I went back to using a bold pen brush and lean more into like the bobblehead look. I was trying to loosen up my style, like using rounder lines for bends at the joints. I resented how stiff my poses would look sometimes, so I really pushed for a style that was easier to squish around like Play-Doh. I struggle with clean line art like this now though. I don't even remember where the stabilizer setting on Clip Studio is anymore. "2020 was what I call the Promare event, where I became embarrassingly obsessed with Leophodia from the movie Promare. Don't talk to me about it. So this was the beginning, the start of an era. I wanted to share this stuff on Twitter, so I changed my style again to something I thought the Twitter twats or Twitter sphere would be more receptive to. Basically just like more anime, more pastel. I also switched to a different program for this one. It's called, don't correct my pronunciation, I don't care. It's called Medibang because it's got the original brushes I used, which was just the default pencil brush. It looks kind of unfinished, but that's just how it was. Oh, what happened here? Well, I'll tell you what happened. I discovered Medibang's acrylic brush, and this thing changed my life. See, something I think that gets overlooked a lot for lining is textured brushes. Not only does it add visual interest without needing effort on your part, but it also covers up a lot of the shakiness and imperfections you'd see when you're using regular mapping pens. They've got round curved eyes and this very round bump for a nose. I don't know, the faces here are just very round in general. Aw, girl, no, why'd you? You went through so much effort to dumb down your rendering and then you go and do this. This was inspired specifically by this mobile game for Tower of God, and I tried copying the sprite art. It it didn't quite work out, but you know what? This image specifically changed how I drew hands. Something about the way this hand was drawn changed my brain chemistry, and it was from this point that it just clicked and I started really enjoying drawing them. So, whatever happened here, I certainly don't regret it. I don't know how to describe the thing I did with these lines. I have a word in my mind, but it's probably not correct. It's like aberration, chrome, something. Don't listen to me. But I copied the line art and I'd make it this bright red and put it on some layer setting and boom, it made it look kind of fuzzy. But I really dislike drawing in this style. I think art should be either proper line art or proper rendering. I don't do both. But here I am, doing both. Here you go, enjoy. This one was manhwa inspired for sure. Couldn't tell you which one, but I know it was. It's the eyes. Also, look at this Renaissance era Navi. I started using the G pen for this. I didn't realize this before, but the G pen has this slight roughness to it that I quite liked. This was also the first time I'd ever drawn nostrils. That's right, the third face hole on my anime faces, more likely than you think. I love how this turned out. I think this is when I peaked, honestly. Unfortunately, it was also at this point that I started craving backgrounds, and this lining style was just too detailed for my attention span to handle. I genuinely forgot about this one. I don't think it lasted that long. Um, dang, yeah. I don't have much to say. I like the dead fish eyes. So my working theory for this one is it was probably something I saw on Pinterest and decided to replicate because it looks cool. That's generally a safe assumption for anything I don't remember. Also, well, I'm really fudging the armor here. I'm just gonna end it here. I don't really know what to say. Now this is what I consider the most defining moment of my art style journey. The moment I discovered the fluffy watercolor brush. Here's the thing about me and backgrounds. I hate, or actually I already said this, but I hate rendering. Can't do this. Characters are self-contained enough to where I can tolerate it, but ask me to render a background and you might as well have asked me to self-implode. But this was the moment that I discovered I don't have to render shit. This beautiful brush that created this gorgeous texture, it does the rendering for me. All I have to do is lay down some basic cell shading, texture the shit out of it, and then put some random highlights down, and boom, job well done. And it was this revelation that finally gave me the courage to actually start drawing backgrounds. I started using very dull colors too, and no true blues. I forgot how to use half the color wheel. Also, just using this thick textured brush makes Lining's so easy. I didn't even have to sketch most of the time, you just go for it. I felt like this style was it, honestly. This was the one. It was everything I'd ever wanted out of my art. Surely I can rest now. I mean, obviously that didn't happen. So I have these brief stints sometimes where even though I claim to hate rendering, I start to crave this painterly style. I don't know if it's because I like subconsciously feel like it's just something other people like more, or, more likely I just got bored. I got tired of lining, just let me work from the sketch, please. Something I relied on pretty heavily was this very harsh top-down lighting where I just put a light bulb directly over everyone's head. It's almost like that dappled lighting effect. It's a very simple way to add the illusion of proper lighting and rendering even when you don't know what you're doing. So, life hack, I guess. I don't know what possessed me to do this again. A moment of weakness where I peered at Saito Naoki's Pokemon splash art and briefly wondered what it would be like. And can I just say, holy fuck layers. I use very few layers now. It's either I paint on a single layer or I have a simple 3 to 4 layer setup with lines, base colors, and shading. Sometimes I just do the shading and coloring all on the same layer, but I took a peek at the PSDs of some of the stuff from this era and it's disgusting. Multiple shading layers, highlight layers, for each piece of clothing and the hair. And I'm not even using that many layers here. I'm cheating. I've given up. But it's still too many layers. This style might be the antithesis of everything I enjoy about drawing. 0 out of 10 would not do again. Back to my comfort zone I go. I went back to my textured brushes, this time a G pen with the texture turned all the way up. It's a bit cleaner than my previous styles. A lot of my art from this time was minimal in shading and mostly relied on textured gradients to feign detail. Yep, I don't know. Eyes here are kind of a strange shape. Not much to say. This stint lasted like one summer. I went back to that painterly rendering style, but for the lines this time I used this drawing pen brush that doesn't have much variance in size. Like, it just doesn't have pen pressure. And this pen was a lot of fun to use. Not having pen pressure makes it very fast to line with. Like, that thing is zipping across the canvas. Other than that, I don't know. Maybe the eyes are a little different, more blocky. I'm not really sure what it is about this style that I was unhappy with. I guess I just got bored again. I like how this turned out a lot though. Probably my favorite one. This one's fun too, probably my laziest style. This drawing was the origin. It's a lot, as you can see. I had this goal of making a massive collage of Otome game heroines, and this style was sort of improvised on the spot to prioritize speed. I think I gave myself like 5 minutes on each character, or else I would have been there forever. It was at this point too where I started drawing more comics, so my focus was already strongly on like, what can I do to speed up my workflow? The colors were also quite a bit more saturated than anything I'd ever worked with. This is like the only time I ever used neon colors. And that's thanks to me literally just prior learning about Clip Studio's Tone Curve tool, which after playing around with it, I discovered this fun little curve that really upped my contrast and saturation. I didn't use it here, but yep, here she is, my little girl. This one is again another painterly style with more blocky brushes. I carried a lot of aspects from the past style to this one too, particularly how I drew eyes. But this was hard. I mean, even back then, I think this one was a hit or miss for me. Like, it was either damn, I cooked, or damn, this looks like doo-doo. And I generally feel like if I'm struggling to keep a style consistent, then it's probably not for me because I'm going to constantly yo-yo between these feelings and it's just setting myself up for frustration. If there's something I do like about this, though, it's that it made me think about shapes a lot more, particularly because I was still using this very, I don't know, harsh, simple lighting style. And with clothing, especially flowy pieces, blocking in these large bits of light. God, incredible vocabulary. Anyway, doing this made these folds a lot easier to understand, or at least a lot easier to fake. I don't know if anything I draw is correct. I don't know if I understand anything. Again, I sort of wonder at what point I should distinguish between styles because some of these look pretty similar. I don't know, I guess it's pretty much the same, aside from like the thinner lines, the biggest difference is the shading, I suppose. Very bright lighting, softer shadows. Anyway, it's very bright, very washed out. Just airbrush everything. This one didn't last long because, again, it was just difficult to use. I couldn't get it to look right with any consistency. So, finally, we're moving on to the last style, being my current one. I had actually switched back to one of my older styles before this, but I wasn't super happy with it. Then I discovered Clip Studio's India ink brush, and oh my, she's a beauty. One of the things I really had to unteach myself after the last few styles was excessive use of detail. With the shading, I like did this thing where every shadow had an outline, but I'm pretty particular with how I use it now because I still prioritize speed above all else, and I think it's fine for detail to be reserved for focal points only. So I started stripping away at all those details until it became a skeleton of what it once was. And I like it that way. I've also started appreciating these dull shadows more. The ugly colors, you know? The taboo. I can and will shade with just black on a multiply layer. I don't care. So here's the finished grid. I'm sure there are older styles that you prefer over my current. I also think some of these look a lot better than my art right now, but you know, above all, your art is meant to service you. And if one day my priorities change, then, you know, there's nothing stopping me from switching styles again. Because I can. That's it. Thanks for watching.